Hey, it's the Omega Level Nerds here with you, John J100, and myself, Don. So we've got a new episode of X-Men 97, as it would be since they're doing the week-to-week release, which seems to be a little civil war with that going online, with people binge versus the week-to-week. So I'm a week-to-week person, to be honest with you. My wife is a binger. Real quick, where are you,
Depends on the
J100?
show. Depends on the show.
Okay.
Um, for something established like X-Men 97, especially considering where its origins were, being weekly, going weekly kind of makes sense. But for something like Fallout, especially like a show that isn't really tested yet, we don't really know. Isn't Halo week to week
Yeah.
on Paramount?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but what I gotten from it is it's kind of bad. So if they just put that one out, you would have known what it is instead of dragging it out. That's just based off of the. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that based off of what other people say. I haven't personally myself, so I got to give that one a shot, I guess. But for a show that's kind of like not tested, for a show that I guess maybe even the stories move fast or needs to kind of move fast. Um, yeah, just let it go, give it out. But for something that is tried and true, and that you kind of need that suspense to build the suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, weekly. I'm in the middle. It just depends.
Very well. There you go. He's in the middle, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, so yeah, X-Men 97, like you said, you're building that suspense. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work out last week. We didn't get to talk about episode 5. So talk about suspense there, though. What was your feelings after something I called, which I don't think that was a hard call. And honestly, I thought it was coming, but not like off rip like it did. But I knew Genosha was going to get fucked. So I called that one. But what was your feelings after seeing that?
So I guess from my casual fan perspective, let me ask you a couple questions to kind of
Okay.
process what I saw. One, what the fuck was happening? Two, was that like a time skip? Like what? Like how much time from I guess Storm being shot and having her powers gone to that part in Genosha do you think that was?
I mean, it was ambiguous, but if I had to say weeks, maybe, if that.
Okay. And then I'm guessing that was the master mold who made
Uh,
that attack, or is it
well,
Sinister?
so from what I can tell, spoiler alerts, everyone. Sinister basically hacked his way with cooperation to get access to Master Mold, who uh, unleashes, I guess, this wild Sentinel is basically what it's referred to. So that big fucking Godzilla Sentinel that fucked Genosha up wasn't Master Mold. Again, as I understand it, it's Wild Sentinel. But again, Master Mold is
Yeah,
the
but
key.
Master Mold's in charge
Right.
though, or not in charge, but
Yeah.
created that, so
Right.
he's in play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and then we saw Nimrod too. Again, not on this episode that you're talking about, although we did see Bastion, which is basically a Sentinel, futuristic, unstoppable Sentinel thing. So yeah, but you're correct. Master Mold's basically the key there, one way or the other, and produced it.
So yeah, in that case, I, it was a very impactful, emotional episode because we lost Gambit. Um, to be honest with you, like I like Gambit as like what that guy is as a character and how you're supposed to look at him and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But like Gambit's kind of like B list. You know
I
what I mean?
agree. No, I
Like he's
think.
important. He's important, but
Mm,
not really.
yeah,
But like it's sad and the whole thing
right
with
on.
Rogue and all that kind of stuff like that. And maybe this was like a TV trope in the story or like a commonly used story trope, but and I understand why this plays out the way that it does thematically, but there really needs to be more of a realistic narrative of uh, the guy who really gives a damn usually does win. I guess it's a very, you know, good writing tactic kind of to subvert your expectations at that point. But um I personally also would like to see more often and do like to see when the guy who ultimately is the one that hangs in there is the one that wins the day. But um also it's also one of those things where it's like, ladies, stop making the guy that actually love you wait before it's too late, bro. Y'all be killing me with that. I mean, it's not like a common like this is a thing women do or whatever, but it
Yeah.
happens. It happens enough times for it to be a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, stop doing that. If the guy likes you, just give it a shot, man. Damn. And then he's gonna sacrifice himself, and the sacrifice would have been more, I mean, emotional, but more impactful because you would have had that time, you would have had that love, and you would have known that, wow, you know, I got to have this time in love with someone who's willing to sacrifice himself like this, instead of, oh damn, I never got the opportunity because I waited too long.
Yeah.
That's like a, I don't know,
And at his
story
funeral, I
ideas,
like.
right? Put that in the notebook.
Yeah, or like, because you're at his funeral and you're fucking crying, like family's like, I don't even know this bitch. Like, what the
Right.
fuck? Yeah,
He
but
like wakes up for a second. He's like, oh, so
right.
now I'm about to die. You, oh, okay. I'm just playing.
I agree with you about Gambit though, that he kind of lame. I don't, everyone that I grew up with loved him. I mean, so I guess that's kind of what drew me away.
Oh, he's cool.
But this did have a nice kind of twist to it. Whereas in the comics, Gambit was part of the Marauders who was sent down to kill the Morlocks. So he was a part of that group. So it was a really kind of nice redemption, but not redemption because it's not in the same continuity. But it was just kind of good look for Gambit to be the one to go after and save the Morlocks in this episode. But ultimately, though, it did lead to his death, and it had me give respect for the character, in this
Right.
medium for sure. So I like that. And to you saying, you liking where the the guy can perceive, the person can perceive, be the good guy, and eventually win. I will say that may be something that gives you a distaste for X-Men a little bit because as awesome and all these powers that they have and stuff, I used to grow up wishing, that I was some sort of mutant, but they really don't seem to really win. I mean, they win fights,
Right.
but as far as like overall though, winning's just something that they don't get to do a
But
lot.
that's what makes, especially getting into it kind of later or whatnot. But
Hmm.
that's what makes them intriguing to me because and that's what makes the, I guess, whatever you need to do to make the X-Men relate to you. Whatever mutant, different thing that you have. And that's the
Hmm.
thing that's so crazy to me is because, like, you know, not to harp on this point, but for all the people that want to talk about the wokeness of X-Men or whatnot, but like white guys have problems too that you can relate to. I think I've made this point before, but like everybody can be seen in this series. Everybody has their struggles, everybody has their discriminations, everybody has the thing that makes them on the outside of a certain group that they would like to be a part of or feel that they should be a part of or
Hmm.
maybe don't want to be a part of or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think that this has, diversity for all, which includes all, even the ones that would be considered the majority. But what I say that to say that uh, at that point, then you see what the real enemy, if you will, even though I don't like to look at it that way, and they don't like to look at it that way, but the real enemy are these people who feel like they're going to go out of existence, and it's just like,
Yeah.
stop looking at life that way. Like, yes, there may not
Well,
be like humans anymore, but like, so
well, that
be
really
alive.
goes to Professor X's little classroom thing there. So we can kind of move on to the next episode here, and we'll dive right in because, and this is actually pretty big for me because I was really starting to wonder if this was an alternate timeline because I knew Xavier wasn't dead. I knew he was with the Shi'ar Empire, and so boom, we get that. That is absolutely where he's at. They catch up on that stuff. Um, and there's just some political dumb shit, going on there because Alondra's like trying to make him emperor, but all the other powers that be don't like that shit. Blah blah blah. Pretty cool fight though. We get to see Vulcan, which is a Summers brother, Omega level mutant. So we get to see him because, of course, Scott Summers, Cyclops' father, is Corsair, who's kind of an enemy of the Shi'ar Empire. He's a space pirate. But either way, they go through all this stuff. But at the end of the day, Charles Xavier looks at all this shit and remembers, hey, wait a minute, I'm like the greatest telepath in the universe. So he literally takes all the powers that be. And yeah, he basically, says, hey, there's cultures that you guys have like came and fucked over. And if you would have just left them alone, they would have been just as powerful as you are right now. But you come,
I don't want
you
that though.
yeah, that you come, you cut them off at the knees, and then say, "Oh, I'm gonna help you now." Like, and he was kind of getting through to him. He was kind of getting through to him as far as like, you don't need to be conquerors like this. You don't, and it was a nice little. And I know the people are gonna, I know the anti woke, I know it's coming, but whatever. I mean,
You think?
do you disagree?
I don't. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes it so tough. And I guess it's just like such an ongoing and enduring conversation because like I'm trying to look at this show, boom boom pow pow,
Yeah.
and even looking at it, boom boom pow pow, you like that's what you get out of what he's saying. Isn't that what you would actually want? But then that's what I'm saying. They're telling on themselves. You're saying that you want to be the superior da 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 da, and we know that socially that's kind of frowned upon, right? Like that's
Right.
ultimately the question that I'm having
Yeah.
is that like if being the superior master race da 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 da, you know, you know 1940s Germany, level. If that's bad, then why are you doing it right now?
Yeah, and they like because they like to punch on
I don't understand.
Nazis. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how they don't really see the allegory there between what they're
No,
pushing,
but they do. That's the part that pisses me off
Yeah.
about it. They do.
So I'm
And
just more positive, I
so
guess.
then
Yeah.
what do we do? So basically you're saying you want you want your mass media to be fascistic. You want all the girls hot. You want all the characters, especially when if we were to talk about outlaws or whatever, like you want all your characters hot, and I don't know what do you want. That's what I was asking them, and then they're getting mad. Oh, there you go with this woke stuff, bro. I'm not being woke at all. I'm literally just asking you if this is offending you or this is making you mad. What exactly is it that you want? And then you feel trapped. You feel trapped because if you answer the question, what you gonna say? And then why do you want that? You had that for 50 years. So why can't it be something else? Like when you really think about Star Wars, literally dudes besides Leia. Literally, that's it.
Is that the
For
ones
50
that
years.
dance or getting, fed to
Right. Or
rancors?
Padme. It's
Yeah.
Padme and Leia for 50 years.
Little
Like
Mon Mothma.
it's okay if we just focus on them for a while as long as the lore. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I would be very confused
I think
and would want to look into if they look at Professor X as doing that, even though that is exactly what he's doing. But then if you don't want to live in a world like that, what do you want? And why do you want that so bad? And then we are living in it right now and you hate it. So what do we, what are you talking about? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's fear and feeling of vulnerability that, yeah, it's like you really don't. So yeah, it's an insecurity that we don't, anyone like that, just, power. They don't want to lose power. That's all it is.
And that's why I like Professor X in this. I like what he did in the show by taking them to the astral plane. And then on top of that, he was convincing them because their arguments
Yeah.
were stupid.
Yeah, they see it as
Um,
crazy. If you have reason, if imagination is crazy, or
right. But it's only crazy because you ultimately want the thing that you say that you don't.
yeah,
You don't want to be conquered, so you conquer. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You don't want your to lose your power, so you take the freedom away from everybody else, but then claim you're doing the things that you're doing for the freedom of everybody else. So good on you, Professor X.
yeah.
And I'm gonna have to look into. We're just gonna have to make it a
I'm
segment, bro.
yeah.
We're gonna have to make it a segment.
I'm trying to get people to come and talk to us about that and to explain their you know
I mean, because
anti-woke
I think,
stuff. But
and it's like I've always said, I think they'd be afraid of me. And my thing about that is it when given the opportunity, I believe that I can destroy. If I would have been able to get at Ben Shapiro, I think I would have won, even at his own game. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, it's the game that they play. Well, I'm just asking questions, and I am just asking questions, but I'm asking questions in a way where like you're saying that this is what you want, but this is what you're doing, and you're gonna make all these justifications, but like that doesn't make any sense. So, like, just say it. Just say what it is that you want. We can discuss it. We can just really, real put up one to one how ridiculous you sound and
yeah,
going about solutions. Since we know what your ultimate plan is, I'm telling you it's not going to work. Why don't we just take care of each other? And if we can't figure that out through the media that you're watching with Professor X or the X-Men or whatever, then I don't know. We even put explosions in there for you
right,
and like death and blood if you
big
watch
time.
Invincible. And you just still don't get it. Oh, okay. All right. A great episode though.
Yeah,
What I like about the episode, if there was something that I didn't like, was um the end where he was so close. Where ultimately he was so close that he was gonna get what he wanted, which was to go to Earth anyway.
right.
So why throw away? Yeah, that kind of threw me off a little bit. Unless I missed something.
No, I don't know if you missed anything. I just think, like you're right. If he was going to get basically everything, um, but and I think he really was on the brink of letting go of his memories of the X-Men, because again, he's looking at what they're doing. He's like, oh, they were dancing and making love, and he's like, oh, they're cool. They got Genosha, Magneto, and the X-Men. They got it on lock. We're good. But then all of a sudden, in the midst of him schooling these, galactic council fucks that on like how they should properly conduct themselves, he gets that psychic pain where he knows what the fuck's going on, sees it, Gambit is dead, and that's where he like trips out, and I don't know, ultimately decides, and it does seem quick, so I understand what you're saying, but then it's like, oh, now my X-Men, my children of the Atom, get off me, bitch. Like, okay. So that did seem quick, so I can understand what you're saying there. um but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, though, I guess, what he was doing there. And I guess they're just, he's coming back to the fold. So, and that's how they're going to do it. Then we have, now this was really two episodes in one, but it was just one. It just had the other parts focused on Storm and Forge, uh, battling, the adversary demon. Forge got bit by it. And, but ultimately, it ultimately it came out to be something of Storm's making, with her self-doubt. I mean, she had her powers, but her believing that it was better for the humans, it's better for the world at large for her not to have powers, was really the problem. She shouldn't have believed that, and once she got over that, she went Super Saiyan, like actual whole ass Super Saiyan, actually, which was really really cool. Ultimately, went back to the old, giant size X-Men Storm suit, which I liked. The whole like white silverish pleather suit is okay, but I do like Storm in her like original, black outfit, that you see here in the episode. So I thought that
Her
was
hair back.
cool. Yep, her hair's back, no more mohawk, which I don't mind Mohawk Storm, but I think people are stuck on that for some reason. But yeah. So I was digging that. We got Storm back. She went Super Saiyan. She's good to go. Her and Forge might even continue on with a amicable relationship, which is cool. It's per comics. But yeah, Nightcrawler is now in the opening video now instead of Gambit, but nonetheless, I love Nightcrawler being on the team, so that's it's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, continued to be good shit. So not sure what else struck you with that, but
Um,
two episodes
I
of one.
just, it was good to that Storm got her powers back. I mean, and I figured it was gonna happen. Figured it was just a minor setback. They could have used her. I think they probably would have made out a little bit better with her.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that shit would have stopped her.
Mm-mm. I mean,
Not
don't get me
much.
wrong. I'm surprised that Magneto, like, I think Magneto could have handled himself a little bit better.
I don't think he's
Just
dead. I think he did that for a reason. I think
right on.
he either got knocked the fuck out and he's got to wake up, or he's like, I think I could take this. Let me have them dip out so we could live to fight another day. But then when I get them, I'm gonna get their ass, and then we're gonna have Storm. Maybe Scott Summers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing from that side of the. We only worry about Professor X and Lalandra and Deathbird and that crew, and then Storm and Forge, and that's it. We really don't get to have much else to do with the other X-Men here. So I was surprised though they went kind of with an angle of Mr. Sinister being responsible for the Genosha massacre, but I guess Trask.
Is that different?
It is, if I remember. Yes, well, honestly, I think it might not end up being that different because they kept Apocalypse and Cable in the opening uh sequence there, so Apocalypse may be ultimately pulling the strings. But so uh I just, I didn't think they'd bring him back in, I guess.
Yeah,
So
the
but this
X-Men
show moves
universe be
fast.
going 0 to 1,000, man. Man, they
it,
what?
it really does. It really truly does. Absolutely. But it's a nice rocket ride. I'm into it. Um, Obviously, I mean, I don't know if there's much to say. The other series that we're both kind of following, Bad Batch. Really not much. I mean, it was a good episode. Omega is, now in the vault with the Empire, devising a way to escape as the rest of the batch are devising a way to find Tantus, which is like the planet laboratory that she's on. But it was really kind of wait and see. I mean, it was a good episode, but I mean, nothing really remarkable. I enjoyed it a lot. What about you?
Well, the first episode was one of those ones where I wanted to see how all the players were going to act, what kind of lore was brought up, or not lore was brought up, but lore was expanded on.
Mm-hmm.
As far as where this story is going. But I mean, we didn't really see much in the first episode
Yeah.
outside of the fact that um, Omega's in the vault. and the boys are trying to figure out a way to get her. Now the next episode was really interesting, with them getting a hold of Rampart and getting onto the one shuttle base or whatever it's called,
With the
and
captain's
then
uniform.
right, and then eventually uh going all the way or getting locked onto the ship to go to Tantus, which I'm kind of interested in what is even in that ship, but
Yeah.
so I mean, it slow, didn't really, like you're saying, didn't really do much as far as like uh where we're supposed to be getting at with everything, but still, you know Omega being Omega, trying to figure out a way to get herself out, and the boys chasing and getting in their little hijinks. I mean, it's good TV. Good way
Yeah.
to spread out the it's good way to spread out the episodes without filler, if you will. This is filler in a way, but not really. It's, you know, moving forward filler, if you will.
Yeah, it definitely showed, Omega developing a relationship with the other children that are in the vault, and how that's ultimately going to play into things. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Um, are you surprised that we got no sort of like tech update, or we didn't find out that
Hmm.
other person that we
No,
thought was tech?
that's gonna be the twist.
Okay, you
That's gonna
still
be the
think
thing. Yeah, that's gonna be the thing at the end of the season. We're gonna be like, oh shit, and then Omega's gonna get shot in the face or something, and then at season 4 or whatever new show comes out after this
right
that
on?
we didn't know
Okay.
was coming.
Do you think that we're gonna learn, or this is gonna lead into like knowing the complete scope of Project Necromancer?
No, I think it's going to be the first piece,
Hmm.
and the Mandalorian is going to be the thing that
The
is
movie,
that
or
puts it all together. Yeah, or either the movie or the show right before the movie. The show tells you what it is. The movie kind of expands on it. That'll connect to um that'll either connect to the ending of the Skywalker saga and the beginning of whatever we call this next saga. Um and then we get prepared for new stuff with Ahsoka season 2. Figure out what's going on with Thrawn. Um yeah, yeah. So
random
a piece.
thought? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying a piece. It's just a piece.
Right. Speaking of a piece, random thought. Because I know we podcasted about it, but I don't. I'm not sure. What did you think about the Obi-Wan series? Like particularly that scene between like Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, where you're seeing Anakin's face. Like, I don't know if I ever got your feelings on that. And I don't know why I just thought about it, but it's one of my favorite scenes ever. I love that show so much, and no one ever talks about it. So just randomly, since
Um well, the thing about Obi-Wan is like, okay, so one of the first things we ever learn about Star Wars is Obi-Wan Kenobi is our only hope. And when we find out that he is Ben Kenobi, in the desert,
hmm
what did he do in between that time? So I think it's one of those things where, because I agree with you, I think that Obi-Wan was a good show. It, because it showed the in between. It showed that there was a connection. It showed what his sacrifice for the order or whatever is. It may not be as exciting as Andor or Mandalorian or certain episodes of the Bad Batch, but it is a telling of what happened in the between time. And in the between time, this is what Obi-Wan dealt with. Um, so I personally don't have an issue with it. I think that it was pretty great, even though maybe it wasn't as exciting. But that's the thing, people have their head canon, and they want Obi-Wan to be, form two or whatever the hell it was. I forgot what form he was, but like, you know what I mean? Two fingers out in the air. Hello there. You know what I mean? Like that's what they
Yeah.
want. And that's not what Yoda and them had to go deal with. You have to understand the finality of the Jedi Order. You have to understand the extents at which Palpatine went to destroy them, and it almost hanging on by a thread coming to pass, except for this little sliver of, the lighter side of the Force. So what else is there? Like, that's just one of those things that's gonna happen. Your heroes actually aren't as legendary as you think they are or want them to be. This is what they actually went through. And it's one of those things where, that's for myself personally in my life. That's one thing that I hold on to for the things that I know make me suffer, is that, I know that there's people out there that look at me as like, oh man, he's got it together. He's got it all straight. You look at where he's at. Look at where he's coming through. Look at who's with him. And the real story is not as exciting and power fantasy as you expect it to be. It's full of mundane pain and suffering, and sacrifice, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people's stories are. So I know that a lot of people look at Star Wars as, a way to escape, but there's certain parts of that story that give you that escape. There is Return of the Jedi. There is Phantom Menace. There is, kind of in a way, Attack of the Clones. But the true Skywalker saga is about how this dude turned, and what that turn turned into, and what the remnants of that turn left throughout the galaxy and throughout the history. And it's not as glorified as you want it to be. And then on top of that, the thing about it is, and I make this point all the time, but I will always continue to, you don't even like the light side anyway. All y'all do is buy dark side merchandise. All y'all do is merchandise the
Right.
dark side. Oh, it's so cool. It's so this, it's so that. I got Death Stars, I got AT-ATs, I got stormtroopers all over
Yeah.
my shit. You don't even like the light side. So who cares? So you know, of course you want their story to be heroic and brave, and da da da. You want the myth. You want the myth that what the Sith have been selling you. The real story, the real light side is how do you deal with pain and suffering through the darkness? Do you give up, or do you still maintain? And that again is, why I don't understand why people don't understand what they're watching. Like I
Yeah.
mean,
And
this is what I get out of, a basic pass through of these films. And then when you get in media, and then when you get deeper into it, and you understand, for the most part, where the writers are going and what story that they're trying to tell, it makes it even deeper. I don't really think that there's too many stories out there, especially like this, that are ultimately saying, even when they show that the bad guys win, um, they're not they're not saying that like, oh, this is what we're supposed to glorify. They're saying like, this is what could happen if the bad guys win. So what do you do if this were to happen? That's what most of these stories are. And the ones that are like, yes, I am a bro, put that sheet over my head, bro. Triple K it up.
yeah.
Those aren't looked fondly upon. It's too blatant. So, I don't know. I don't really know what people expect. And that's what's so crazy about media, is because like most of our media is telling us to not be shitheads. And then the thing that dominates the day and rules the world and makes the money and gets the attention is the shithead stuff. So, I guess this is the what the lighter side is supposed to deal with: suffering and darkness, right? What do?
Right.
You do this. Hi, I'm John. I suffer in darkness because I try to do the right thing, and nobody likes that. But then they love it.
Yeah.
But then they want
Here.
they demand it.
You're so right about the people siding with the Empire and all like the Empire merchandise. Like if fucking seen on the back of minivans and shit where they'll have like two AT-ATs, and then for every kid they'll have like an ST ATST ATST,
Hmm.
and all the Darth Vader shirts and shit like that. So yeah, that's that's funny. That's sad. Well, um, let's lighten it up then. I guess we'll definitely catch back up with the Bad Batch. The end of that season's coming soon enough. But obviously, something we both love, John, is RPGs. I like particularly old school RPGs, and I know you were just saying you were playing an old game. I just was currently playing Chrono Trigger, but I just got to thinking, what are some cool like RPG, party overland vehicles. We I guess maybe not overland, but some games you get a ship, some games you get an airship. A lot of games uh do dragons. A lot of RPGs you'll get some dragons to ride on. That's a pretty big trope. But I was really thinking, what are some really like outstanding, iconic, just great, RPG overland vehicles. So I got five here with you, John. I want to get your opinion here on my top five. So my first one, number five here, is from Dragon Warrior 11. It's a big giant whale, looks like a Pokemon called Cetacea. And I mean, I honestly just wanted to get this game on the list because I do like it a lot. I think the thing about Dragon Quest that I do like, not that I've played each and every one of them, but what I do like is you can tell it's a Dragon Quest game. The aesthetics, the sounds, everything have been maintained, throughout the story. Very different from Final Fantasy, where each game varied wildly at times to its predecessors and other. It doesn't have that continuity. Yeah, you've got the victory fanfare and some music and stuff, and the idea of crystals and summons, white mage, black mage. I mean, Final Fantasy does have some things that stick with it, but not quite as much as Dragon Quest. But
Right.
as far as like cool overland vehicles go, a big giant whale that got you to the final dungeon. And there really wasn't, there's no airships or shit in this game, so the fact that you could even fly around was pretty amazing there. Ever played that particular one?
Not 11. And I want to go through the Dragon Quest series. Um, I've actually, I'm basically like halfway through the first one because I have it on my Switch. I got
Yeah.
one and two. So I definitely do want to go through those. And I probably will get through them one of these days. But I think I played the most kind of like modern one that I played was Dragon Warrior 8, 7 or 8,
Okay.
8 or
Okay.
9.
It's a good one. It's a good one though. All right, right on. Well, number four is actually from a game that if you have a Switch and you join the Nintendo Club and you got access to the Super Nintendo library, you can actually have access to Breath of Fire 2. But literally in this game, as long as you do the right thing, you got to like save someone here, not kill this person there, you actually get a flying town.
Mm.
It's a whole ass, it's a flying township, and yeah, it's just, and it really is too. It's not like one or two buildings, it's like five or six buildings. Just imagine having a whole fucking town that you're flying around in. So that one's on the list because that's just crazy. I've never heard of a flying town before
Right.
in any game. So all right, so now we're gonna get in the top three though. So this is where it's gonna get kind of iconic and good here. So, and this is where it might be a little bit controversial because I know this game is, if for good reason, beloved by everybody, and this is an iconic. The High Wind airship from Final Fantasy VII. Uh, it is iconic. It's on the it was on the back of the jewel case in the original game, so you know hours before you got it, I'm gonna get that airship. I'm gonna get that fucking airship. Um,
Then you see it early in the game, and you're like, "Oh, there it
right,
is."
right, right. Yeah, you see it in June and before, a long time before you get it. And I thought about the blackjack and the falcon from Final Fantasy VI because that is an iconic game. But really, the high wind is just a more iconic, as well as there is that part in the game where it like fucking transforms and shit. Um, and a lot of dialogue happens and like inside of it, that captain area, where Sid's driving and y'all just, you see the ocean or whatever under you. And a lot of actually cool character building dialogue happens, inside of that ship. So number three is the high wind. So Final Fantasy VII, I know one of your favorites. So, um, what do you think? I mean, should that be higher, lower? What do or would you have rather the
In the
Falcon or
same spot on my list,
okay?
same spot. But for my reason, um, I mean, it looks cool, and the jewel case, being on the jewel case to see it early in the game, and being excited about it, but not getting it until like the third disc,
Yeah, yeah,
surely has one of those gives it the nostalgia. But really, I put it on here, and it's in the position that it's at because of the the freedom of movement that you get from obtaining it. I mean, granted, you had some things that made you feel more free in the game, but the one thing about Final Fantasy games, but role playing games as a whole, Final Fantasy specifically, is when you have the ability to get to where you need to get to quickly and whenever you want. That's kind of one of the biggest senses of accomplishment that you get
hmm
from a game like that outside of beating it. So the high wind is in the middle of my list because there's other ones that give me a better feeling, but it's still iconic enough to not be off the list or below the middle.
okay, okay, all right, good, interesting. So number two, and again, I'm playing this game, so it's going to be the Epoch from Chrono Trigger. Um, first of its kind, really. I mean, you can freaking time travel with the thing. Not only can you fly around wherever you want, but you can time travel. It's got cool lasers on it. You only use them once in a game, but it's still pretty impressive. Like when you take out this big airplane, the Blackbird. You end up taking that out after Dalton puts not wheels on it, wings on it. Um, you can use it to rush into Lavos. It's almost sentient where it will kind of follow you sometimes. Like you'll be somewhere else on the map, and it's like, oh, hey, this ship just kind of followed you here. So the Epoch number two. What do you think there, John?
Same spot for me. Even though Chrono Trigger, I guess, as far as how I feel the greatest video game of all time and role playing game to me is Chrono Trigger. Um, but it's number two because I think my number one is a little bit more iconic to me. But being able
Okay,
to then, for what Chrono Trigger is, for what you learn about what's going on, for how you had to go through the world beforehand, and what making a mistake could do to, I guess the story or where you're at, or how you feel about or maneuver through the game, having the ability to go where you want to at the ease at which you're able to when you get the epoch, is what makes it feel what it feel as amazing as it is. On top of the fact is for a game as like you were mentioning before, kind of story drawn out, and outside of it being drawn out, how epic it is, being able to get technically the thing that the game is named after is a good feeling too. So it's high up there on the list, but not
okay,
my number one.
Okay. So before we go with number one, then, because like I had five. Did you have anything else for your 4 or 5 slot there? Just
So for five, I had the Ragnarok from Final Fantasy VIII, and I know you hate that game,
okay.
but Final Fantasy VIII was one of the first games that I was able to watch the production of from its inception to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing and hearing about the Ragnarok has, strong emotional ties or whatnot. And um, uh, where you get it in the game, how long it takes to get to where you're getting to, what's going on story wise, it's kind of like a reward because the game thematically starts to get really weird. And I think that like the Ragnarok is your prize for dealing with how weird the game is getting. Like, hey, I know this is getting a little off the rocker. Here's this cool looking rocket ship. Fly around, do what you need to do. And like I said, it looks really cool. So I have that one number
Okay.
five. And then number four was the gummy ship from Kingdom Hearts. Now, not necessarily the gummy ship because it's the gummy ship, but the ability to be able to customize your ship for either the needs of the mission that you're trying to do in the later games when they had like the extra side missions through the that space that you go through.
Mhm.
But then also when you are just trying to make a powerful gummy and you get to our gummy ship and you get to make it as cool with the lasers and the rockets and the scan and then every all the stuff that you blow up comes to you and all that kind of stuff like that. So I enjoyed doing that and it was fun, but definitely wasn't my favorite
Okay.
airship.
Okay. All right. All right. So my number five was Ceticia. Yours was the Gummy Ship. Then my number four was the Flying Township. Your was the Gummy Ship from Kingdom Hearts. Mine from Breath of Fire 3. We're both in agreement for number three, which is the High Wind Airship from Final Fantasy 7. Number two, the Epoch from Chrono Trigger. And then number one. So what's your number one?
My number one is Blackjack from Final Fantasy 6. Final Fantasy 6 is my favorite Final Fantasy. And it being my favorite Final Fantasy, uh, being able to use the blackjack before the World of Ruin, um, was freeing and necessary for how I play the game and grind and try to get the most out of the espers and all the moves and stuff like that from the espers. So having the blackjack is great, but what truly, truly, truly makes the blackjack number one is the music of the blackjack.
Okay, right on.
So, no, Ubu, uh, or Nobu, excuse me, Uematsu really put his ass in that track. And it's one of the. I mean, a lot of the airship songs are what they are, and music changes
Yeah.
throughout time, whatever. But I think airship music wise, uh, that's the best song. So it
Okay.
gets to be number.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure and drop a sample behind us there of that. Okay. I like that a lot. I wanted to. I guess to me, I wanted to stick with the one airship, but that's why I did mention the Blackjack and the Falcon. But particularly,
Well,
yeah,
I
I
had the
agree
Final
with you.
Fantasy. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? As much as I was like, I don't want to hold this to be Final Fantasy, my number one is going to be from Final Fantasy 4, and that's going to be the Lunar Whale. Um,
Okay.
now, I
All
will
right.
I will say Final Fantasy 4 is my Final Fantasy, so I know I'm going to have that little bit of a bias there. But when you talk about the lunar whale, you pray for it. It comes out of the ocean. It's shaped like a whale. Two whales on my list. I don't know what that means, but then it's a spaceship, so it goes to the moon. It
Like
also has
Wales, man. That's what that
yeah,
means.
I guess so, and that, I do actually. They've proven to be noble creatures, like trying to save people and stuff. But anyway, um, but it also has like cool weaponry on it. It has healing pods, like so you can get free in, you get free magic points back. It's got a fat chocobo in it where you can store all your stuff, and you mentioned music. Absolutely agree. I very iconic music that I'll never forget. You know, whenever you bring out or get into the lunar whale and disembark to, or you can fly around, or again you can go up to
That's a good song
space,
too.
and you can go to the moon with the lunar whale. So okay. Well, Final Fantasy didn't dominate it too much there, but it is what it is. Final
But yeah, that was gonna be
Fantasy.
my list. Y'all was lucky I could put Kingdom Hearts in that mug
Yeah, you
because
know
I was
what?
gonna put uh what was the Baron airship.
Oh, the
It's
Red
not even one
Wings.
that you get to
The
use
Enterprise.
for real. Just that one in general and what it meant to the beginning of the story, but basically the whole story, like that scene right there, set the stage for all the twists and turns
Right.
that you face. So I was gonna put that one on there, but I put the gummy ship.
Right on. Yeah, that was a good. That threw me. I didn't expect Kingdom Hearts to come in there, but right on, right on. And by the way, I guess I meant to mention this a little bit earlier. I did have a couple of rules in the list that I threw out there. So first off, no MMOs. You know that way, because I mean, Jesus, there's how many World of Warcraft mounts and I the Star Wars MMO. I mean, how many ships and starships and mounts you have on there? So no MMOs, and then no Xenogear or Xenoverse mechs. I didn't feel they were.
I don't even know enough about it to even be able to put
Yeah,
them on the list. That's the other thing. I'm more of a I've played other RPGs, the Tales series and some other random ones, other SquareSoft stuff too, you know. Um, but I didn't really get into Xenogears. Wanted to, tried to do a lure run, but
yeah.
haven't played it.
Okay, and real quick, because I know you mentioned like we're meeting before we're actually recording that you're watching Fallout. I am not, but I guess maybe that's something I could consider. Could you give me an elevator pitch? What would be your elevator pitch for me to watch Fallout before we go?
Yeah, well, I mean, Fallout is a good show if especially if you've played the Fallout series. It's strongly tied to it. I believe they consider it canon. It's in
Mm,
a time period that hasn't been dealt with in the timeline of Fallout, so it's able to have its Easter eggs and things that connect the world and um, um, landmarks and creatures and people, and history, if you will,
hmm
um, and but also have it the freedom to do kind of its own thing. Um, Great characters, uh, interesting how things go down, and as far as where it ended, I'm interested in where it's going, considering its place in the history and a game that is in the middle of that history. So we're gonna see for season two, we're gonna see, you know, probably the game that saved the series. We're gonna see the setting of the game that probably saved the series. But it's not. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the same type of story because it would be a couple of hundred years in the future unless everybody there is a ghoul. But um, yeah, man, it's a good show. It's got it. You can tell. So I saw this meme where they gave, it seems like, Fallout 3 stats to the characters of the show
mm,
if they have stats. And because I didn't really know what was going on, especially because they show 3 4 different storylines at kind of at the same time. So when it's the Vault Dweller part of it, since that's mainly the world the player comes from,
hmm
um, you can kind of see Lucy, who's the main character, being written as if you were in the game. Kind of, it kind of has that kind of feel to it. So it's interesting on that level. It's interesting to kind of figure out the story. It's interesting to especially if you're new to Fallout, it's interesting to figure out what this lore is. You know, why the world ended up getting this way, this, that, and third, da 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 da. Which it takes until in Fallout 4 in order for you to really figure out uh, what the whole world's about if you have been following the series. So pretty good. And it's only 8 episodes, I believe. Eight or 9 episodes. They're an hour long, so you could do one a day or something like that, 2 a day, and get it over with pretty quickly because they put it all out there. And I think you'll like it. You've played Fallout before, right?
Nope, not at all.
Oh well, I mean, but are you familiar with the world?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's all you really need because that's me. So I've tried to play 3, but it's terrible. And I understand why people think that it's good, but it's not at all. And then it's funny because there's this H Bomber guy video about why Fallout 3 is terrible, and here's why. Um, he just hyper digs into very specific reasons why the game is bad, but ultimately the specific thing, the basic things out of the specific things that he brings up are what you feel as a player playing the game. So I didn't get too far into the series because I started with 3 and I did not like 3. So I didn't really give New Vegas a try. I didn't give Fallout
Oh,
4 or 76, none of that. I've always wanted to play 1 and 2, but I never had. So I'm in the same boat as far as not really knowing what's going on except for a few things
mm-hmm.
that the big old suits, you're familiar with those, the Brotherhood of Steel suits, the Vault Hunter, the dwellers, the going into the vault, going out into the wasteland. You're familiar with that, so you get that part, and then you let the
Yeah.
show be the show, and it's pretty good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I should check it out. See what it's about. That way we can at least chat about it.
Give it like 2 episodes. 'Cause
Two-episode.
one is enough, but it's not enough. You watch the second one, that'll determine if you want to watch it or not. So that's
Okay.
2 hours.
All right. I'll do it. But yeah, I think you're right. You're gonna have to give it more than one episode, or hell, I would have dropped from Naruto along, yeah, episode 1. But I stuck in there, so there you have it. All right, well, that's going to be it for the show. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. Tell us, what you've thought of the X-Men, the Bad Batch, um, any iconic RPG party vehicles that we left out. Let us know in the comments. And until next time, we'll see you soon.